Hey guys, it's Cam and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then welcome, and it would mean the world to me if you would join the Cam fam, my little beauty community here on YouTube, by hitting that little subscribe button down below. And don't forget to hit the notification bell too so that you don't miss any of my future uploads. So I think it was a day or two ago now that I got this Natasha Denona Peak palette in my base BoxyCharm, which is crazy because I know they had Natasha Denona in a premium box before, but not in a base box. And this month, Charmers did get Natasha Denona in the base box. Some of them did. I know some of you guys didn't. But if you're wondering what this palette is all about and what you can do with it if you did get it, then I'm doing a little review for you guys of it in this video. And I'm also showing you two different looks that you can do with this palette. One that's a little quicker, a little more wearable for every day. And of course, it wouldn't be a Cam eyeshadow tutorial without me doing like some gradient, half-cut crease craziness. So what I'm wearing right now is the second look that I'm gonna show you guys. So this palette is only 5 colors, as you can see. I can probably swatch these for you in like seconds. Apparently these are shades that are like combinations from her other like little 5-pan palettes. So if you're eyeing a certain shade, it may be in like a different palette. So this first shade is, I believe, Aya. And I'm sorry for like my really dry hands, but it's just this creamy like beige right here. Then the second shade, I believe, was Jasper. And it's just like a matte orange. I know, I'm horrible at swatches. Please don't. And then we have Thorn, which is a matte brown over here. Then this fourth shade is Amhara. I really don't know how to pronounce that one. But it's this sort of like, I don't know, I would say like mauve-y brown color. So it's a good transition shade. And then this last color is just Shine. And so that one's this like shimmering gold. So regarding the palette, right off the bat, I kind of have to say like this packaging, like it's cheap feeling plastic. Like I feel like I'm holding an e.l.f. palette. I feel like for 5 shadows that retail for $48, the packaging needs to be a lot nicer on this. I don't care how good the shadows are. If I don't feel like this is a luxurious product, I'm not someone that's going to drop money on like one of her other palettes, for example, in this price range with this kind of packaging. And to me, they all look like they have similar packaging. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the packaging, but besides for that, let's talk about the shadows themselves. Now they're really, really blendable. I like played around with this palette yesterday. When I'm like playing around with it and just planning looks and stuff like that, I kind of like don't really blend thoroughly and stuff, and I'm just kind of like mapping things out, but it was really, really hard to get a harsh line out of these shadows. They basically blended themselves, which is the really nice part about it. Now, they're not like pigment bombs. So if you want super intense pigment, be prepared to apply a lot of layers, or maybe put it down on like a tacky base like concealer or an eyeshadow primer that's not set yet, because it takes a lot of building up to get the color payoff, which is what makes it so blendable. But I did manage to get a decent amount of that dark brown to show up in my outer crease, so I'm pretty happy with that. And I guess sometimes the trade-off is like, for blendability, like losing some pigment. So again, this isn't like crazy pigmented, you know, for wild looks and stuff like that. It's more friendly for like everyday eyeshadow looks. And I actually didn't really experience a lot of fallout with either the shimmer shade or the dark brown, which was really good. There's not like a lot of kickback in the pan with this one. There's not a lot of fallout. So it's very easy to just kind of like do your base, and then whatever eyeshadow look you feel like throwing on that day, you can just do it over your base. It's fine. You don't have to do your eyes first. I literally like was able to dust off the little bit of fallout that there was. So again, that's something great for like an everyday palette. So if you're ready to see 2 different looks that you can do with this Natasha Denona Peak palette, then just keep watching. So for this first look, I was inspired to do something a little more on the everyday side, not quite so like Instagram YouTuber makeup, but just a quick little easy polished everyday look that anyone can do. And I feel like these shades are perfect for that because they're so like just muted and nice for fall. And so let's just jump right into the first look. So I'm first going into this shade Amhara, I believe it's pronounced, and this is going to be our first transition shade. So I'm taking that on my Morphe M441 brush. And I'm just going to start running it through the crease. And these shadows definitely are not like super pigmented, so you can really build them up. I basically laid down the product where I wanted first in kind of like a windshield wiper motion, and then I really like to go in little circles to fade out that line, because sometimes that can just leave it looking a little bit like there's a line. Next, I'm going in with this color right here, which is called Jasper, and I'm using a Morphe M433 brush. I'm gonna start running this a little bit through the crease, ever so lightly. And then I'm packing a bunch on the flat side of the brush, and I'm just gonna lay this down all over the lid. And I'm just making sure that that's nice and blended in the crease. Then I'm going back in with that first brush with nothing on it, and I'm just going to blend that out even more. Again, I'm doing a very light layer in the crease, and this is just to kind of like help with seeing the border of how far up you want the shadow to go. And then I'm packing it on the lid with the flat side of the brush. Then I'm going in with the color Thorn on a Morphe M456 brush, and I'm just going to pat that on the outer corner, right in the outer V with the flat side of the brush. I'm going to run it a little bit in like the outer half of the crease. Then I'm taking the M433 brush and just blending that out a little more. Next, I'm taking the color Jasper again on an M506 brush, and I'm going to run that along the lower lash line. And then I'm going to go back in with the color Thorn on an M508 brush, and I'm just going to smudge a little bit of this along the lower lash line, but very, very, very close to the lash line. And so for the final step, I'm going to pick up the color Shine on my finger. And I'm just going to place this on the lid over that orange to create a really nice multi-dimensional layered effect. Then I'm just going to take a Sigma E56 brush just to get it a little closer to the inner corner, because my finger can't quite do that. Okay, so now I'm just going to pop off camera to put some lashes on so I can show you guys the finished look. Okay, and so here's look number 1, all complete. Alrighty, and so we're ready for look number 2 now. So I'm going to keep the bottom lash line the exact same way that it was in the first look. So I guess reference the first look for that. So this second look is a little more Instagrammy one, and it's very similar. Again, there's only 5 shades in this palette to work with. So this is just a variation of the first one if you want to go and do something extra, something a little more structured and polished and just a little more intense. So I'm starting off with the same crease shade, Amhara, with a Morphe M441 brush. This is still the same from the first look. This is really like the transition shade in the palette. I guess the difference here is that I'm bringing this shade a little bit higher as we're doing a half cut crease. And I really want to bring it in and up so that way we have a lot of lid space to play with. And so I'm actually a little pressed for time today. I have a doctor's appointment, but these eyeshadows I can just blend out so quickly. It's pretty impressive. They like almost do the blending for you. So with that laid down, I'm going into the shade Jasper with my M433 brush again. And this time I'm actually going to like really build this up in the crease. And again, we want to bring this pretty high so we have ample space to cut the crease and create that nice large lid. And then I'm just going back in and blending that out with the first brush. So now I'm going to go in with the color Thorn on my Morphe M456 brush, and I'm just going to like go to town, putting this on the outer corner here. I want this bold. I want it super visible. This is not about blending for an everyday eye look and just deepening up that outer crease. This is like, we want a bold look. And then I'm going to start running it into the crease. And I'm going to bring it in a little further this time than I did in the first look. Then once I have that laid down for the most part, I'm wiping my brush off and I'm going in and blending that edge out. Again, I feel like there's very little blending that needs to be done. It's almost like it's really, really hard to create a harsh edge with these shadows. And then I'm just blending a little bit more with that middle brush. I may go back in and add a little bit more orange since I feel like we're losing that a little bit. And then I'm just going back in and reinforcing the brown just right here in this outer V. We don't really need to blend anything here. I'm just packing color on. Again, these shadows aren't like super pigmented, so if you wanted to amp it up and like really make it like super dark brown, get the most out of that pigment, then you are going to want to apply this on like a P. Louise base or just wet concealer or something like that, and do a reverse blending technique, because there's not like super intense color payoff. Okay, so once that's all laid out and blended now, I'm going to go in and cut the crease. So for that, I'm using my ColourPop No Filter Concealer, and I'm using the shade Fair 4. So I'm just going to do a little line right above my top lashes and try to get that line of where my natural crease wants to end. So now I'm going to fill that in. And I'm also just going to over-exaggerate that line to really open up the eye. And then I'm just blending the edge out with my finger. And then to set all of that, I'm picking up the shade Shine on a Sigma E56 again. And then I'm just setting all of that in place. Now I have this really harsh line here between the shimmer shade and that outer corner brown. So I'm going to pick up the shade Jasper again with my M433. And I'm kind of going to use the brush to really blend those two shades together. Also because I want to keep bringing in that orange. I'm bringing that actually quite close to the center of my lid. And then I'm just going to blend on both sides of that shade. And then you just may want to go in and reinforce that brown if you've lost it a little bit. And that should be really easy to blend into the orange. So now I'm just going to repeat all of this on the other eye, pop on some liner and lashes, and be right back, so don't go anywhere. Okay, so here's the second look all done. Alright beauties, well that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed these looks and got to see a little more of what this palette is all about. And if you like this video, then please help me out by clicking that little like button down below and leave me a little comment down below. Let me know whether you have this palette, whether you want to get it, and what your thoughts are about it. And as always, if you're wondering what video to watch next, here's 2 more by me that you can check out. And then don't forget to click on my face right here to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, my loves, and I will see you in my next video. Mwah.